Okay, so first off, thanks everybody for joining the last of our ag series this year. We wanted to hold a specific round of ag series webinars for the beginning of the season in September, the mid-season checkpoint in October with our ag team, and then now, of course, in November when things are kind of rounding up for the year, our field rep team here today co-hosting to help answer those questions on, well, now what with my report, my results, and things like that. So I'm going to start with a little bit of Midwest Labs information and history so that people can continue to join in the next few minutes. So first off, at Midwest Labs, our mission is to drive a positive impact on the lives of our employees, clients, and surrounding communities. This has been our passion since our founder started this business back in 1975. And we're able to continue doing this by recruiting talented individuals in biochemistry, micro, animal science, agronomy, agricultural science, and environmental science. So for those of you who are ever driving past Omaha or, fairly local to our area, feel free to schedule a campus tour. It's pretty exciting, especially during our busy time, which is fall. It is busting at the seams, and that's when we receive the highest count of samples in any given day. But for those of you who can't visit us in Omaha, here's a little online campus tour. Here in Omaha, Nebraska, we've got about 13 buildings where we house operations for analysis in soil, plants, pet food and animal feed, food and beverage, compost, fertilizer, fuel, and environmental samples. So this kind of dates back to when our soils lab was first open, along with feeds and metals. The following year, we opened our chromatography lab and microbiology and wet chemistry. And then later on, the foods lab. And then in 2000, our fuels lab. So for those of you who know me, I am the onboarding specialist here at Midwest Labs. I host the portal training webinars once a month. It's usually the last Wednesday of the month to learn how to use our portal, which we will touch on today. But I've been a member of Midwest Labs for over 5 years. My roles here are assisting new clients and just getting started with the information to do business with our lab. I like to train new and existing employees to use the MyLab portal platform. I also, in my spare time, create training and educational materials to help out fellow employees who are client-facing, and then, of course, clients themselves. And then I'm also on the marketing team here to coordinate all of the website, MyLab portal, and the educational content production that you see. So today for our end of season recap, I have co-hosted here with our field representative team. So we've got a wonderful team of folks with vast backgrounds in agronomy who are usually on the road or meeting with clients in person. And are in charge of specific territories in the US. So this is available on our website, but also I just wanted to post this here today so that you're kind of aware of your region and who is your field representative that covers your specific area. So we've got that broken down into, Southern, Central Midwest, Northern regions and Canada, and international accounts as well, and then West Coast and Northeast regions. And don't worry, their contact information will be up at the end as well, so you'll know kind of who to contact. So without further ado, I'm going to let the field reps introduce themselves here. So I will start and hand it over to Jim Fashing.
Good afternoon. Jim Fashing with Midwest Labs. Been with the company for 25 years and some change. If you notice the dark blue area on the map that Megan just showed you, that's the area of coverage that I have with responsibilities for Canada and then some of our international business. As you can see, I assist client inquiries, provide information on our analytical services and recommendations. We do training, informational presentations on interpreting soil test results, And we discuss other aspects of agronomy as well individually with clients and or groups of people. Other responsibility involves contacting potential clients, potentially new clients, to provide the information on the value of our analytical services and what we can provide.
Perfect. Thank you, Jim. Over to you, Jim Grilio.
Jim Grilio here with Midwest Laboratories, agronomist and field representative covering the southern region of the United States for the laboratory. I currently reside in Heston, Kansas, which is in the southern part of the state, about 50 minutes from the farm where I grew up. In 1993, I graduated from Fort Hays State University in Hays, Kansas, and went to work in ag retail for about nine and a half years. I then went on to work for Midwest Laboratories. Started in September of '02.
Thank you, Jim. Over to you, lovely Ashley Babel.
I'm Ashley Babel, and I have been a part of the Midwest Labs team for 5 years. I assist clients with questions regarding organic and specialty crops. I help facilitate in-person tours of Midwest Labs. So if you ever reach out to us and want to do a walkthrough, I'm most of the time going to be the one walking you through the different departments and showing you the ins and outs of Midwest Laboratories. I also work with internal teams to assist and attend trade shows. And I have recently been creating videos and educational content for Midwest Labs on social media and other websites.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. And over to you, Stephanie Turner.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Turner. I am the newest field representative for Midwest Laboratories. I've been here since middle of July. My new territory is going to be Indiana and Illinois. I live in southeastern, east central Illinois near Champaign. I graduated from Iowa State with a degree in agronomy. I grew up on a grain and livestock farm. I formerly worked for a John Deere dealer as a precision ag specialist. And I will help and get on the road and assist with all client inquiries and provide information on what we do here at Midwest Labs.
Thank you, Stephanie, and welcome to the team. And then today we have Tim Rodmacher. He is on the road, so he was unable to attend live, but I just wanted to still introduce you and show you his picture, of course, and his territory region. Tim Rodmacher is also a field representative here at Midwest Labs. He's been with us for over 12 years now. Much like the other field reps, he assists clients with the projects for analytical testing and price quotes. He provides clients information on the advantages of obviously using our analytical services, general customer service for all inquiries, and making outgoing calls to clients and prospective clients to kind of start opportunities for a new partnership with Midwest Labs. So all the field reps do generally the same thing. It's just they have different territories. So, and as Ashley said, they are all on the road with clients, but also on the road attending our trade shows. So when you see our social media posts and our information that goes out about where we'll be and what our booth number is, you can come meet our field reps in person as well at various trade shows throughout the year. So they keep very busy. So with that being said, and our team today, our agenda, we're going to provide you with an overview of the MyLab portal. As I always like to do that, because that is where you'll do primarily most of your business with us. And then we're going to review kind of the season's most asked questions and helpful tips from each of our field representatives. So first, I'll go over the MyLab portal, which will involve, your dashboard, submitting your paperwork, which is the key to getting your tests in the lab faster and your results turned around, ordering your supplies, shipping labels, and then viewing your test results and interactive report, which is where you can add recommendations. And then we'll go into some seasonal tips from each of our field reps and then open it up to Q&A, which you can use the little chat function there, and then I will read your questions out loud. So we will get started here on the portal and the website. So I recommend having the Midwest Labs website and the portal bookmarked as favorites on your browser. So you've got mylab.midwestlabs.com. I'm going to start you off here at the actual website. So normally you would click on Get Started, where you can just go to the agricultural industry. But during soil season, down here, one of our first sliders here is Get Prepared for Fall Soil Season. So if you do catch that, it is the landing page that we made specifically for fall season, and we'll probably do the same in the spring. So this kind of just gives you a nice, everything you need to know going into your soil season. And we've gone over this, the last couple webinars, but it's nice to touch on for soil testing throughout the year. So we kind of just go over our recommended soil testing packages. Of course, we have a lot of different testing packages, but we go over kind of the ones that people run the most in the fall season, which is our S1A, our S3C, and our Soil Health Complete. So it'll go over when we recommend those, costs, and turnaround time, and then what is included. And then just down below, we have some of the additional micronutrient packages that you can combine with those. Here's some available sampling and shipping supplies most of you may know of. So you can use quart-sized Ziploc bags, but for those of you who are sending in quite a number of samples, we ask that you maybe order our soil bags, which are free for you. They just cost to ship out. And we clearly mark the line of 2 full cups of soil, which we need per test. We retain soil for up to 30 days normally, but in busy season, it's usually about 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. So we do use the full 2 cups, and whatever's not tested, we are retaining so that you can either get some retesting done or have add-ons if needed. And then this kind of just goes over supplies as far as our box sizes and how many samples each box holds. And then just some nice documents over here, which we have throughout the website on the resources tab, which are nice to kind of print off and have or share out with your teammates. And then obviously, if you don't want to use the MyLab portal, you can always just use a soil submittal form and click on that, download it, and print it off and handwrite it. So that is completely up to you. For those of you that are familiar with our portal, I will touch on that today. So if you don't have an account set up, it'll say create new account on the login page, but I am logged in now here. So the first tab I'll show you is your user dashboard, which is just a nice overall snapshot of your account. It has your recent notifications, so any changes made to the account, some FAQs that we've created here, but also those are on the website. Your accounts and how many users you've had added to your account. Your recent submittals, so anything you've submitted on the portal to send in. Your current balance, and then your supply orders. The available analysis tab is going to direct you back over to the website where I showed you before to browse the catalog. If you're not seeing any specific testing or you're struggling with finding whatever, feel free to contact us and reach out to our client service team or your agronomic account manager, and we can always send you price quotes. But in here is the full catalog. So the main thing I am coaching people on every day is sending proper paperwork. So like I said before, that's helping your samples get into the lab faster to get tested. If you send us a box of soil with no paperwork, those are going to sit on a table until we've reached out to you or tried to locate, what samples you want, what account you need, and things like that. So you can click on Submit Samples. And for today, since the majority of you are doing soil, plant, and things like that, possibly water samples and manure samples, I'm just going to show you a couple different sample types. So ag, soil, and plants is your first category you'll select. And then obviously you can see here, you can choose soil, plant, irrigation, water, other solids, corn stalks, growth media, and seeds. I'm going to choose ag soil. And then this is going to populate your submittal form with the red boxes as your required fields. So grower is just the farmer's name, or yourself if it's you. These other fields are not required, but you certainly can put farm and field. This is just all report header information. So when you're getting that soil report back, it's having the information here that you've listed. So your sample ID is something that you are creating or writing on your sample bags. So if it's just numerical, you can do A through C, or 1, 2, 3. It's up to you. Or maybe it's field 1, or maybe it's a farmer's last name. It's just however you've separated your samples according to their sample ID, so that you know in your report what numbers go with what bag of soil. So I'm just going to put 1 for today, and then click on my test box. So obviously we have quite a few tests. One of the most comprehensive ones we recommend on, fields that have not been tested before is our S3C package. You can go in here though also and select a test, and then click on the little I next to it to then have it populate what is all included. And then this is kind of an internal dummy account, but your account will say prices here. So you'll know how much it's going to be to have with and without recommendations. You can select multiple tests. They're just going to go below the, the testing box here. And then if it's a surface soil, it's probably going to be 0 to 6 or 0 to 8 or 0-12, whatever that may be. But the format is 0- and then another number. And then you'll add your recommendations on the right. You certainly don't have to, but this is going to give you a choice to add up to 3 per sample. And then you'll click done. And then here you can either add the plus button and put in your additional samples. So say I have 5 more samples, you can just click 5 and click OK. As you'll notice, that just kind of populated down numerically and testing and depth and recs. So that's kind of nice. If it ever doesn't, there's this arrow to the right of each box that's just gonna say copy sample ID, copy tests, copy depth, etc. So it's just gonna push everything down through it. I recommend to you adding your surface soils first and then going in to add subsoils. So you will notice on subsoils that the only test that will default is nitrate nitrogen. And then so for the subsoil, I have to then just put in my depth. And you'll do that throughout your samples if you need to, but I'm just going to show you how to do one subsoil. Okay, so once you have your fields filled out and you don't see any little orange exclamation point warnings and red boxes are all filled out, you'll click this review order button to the bottom right. This is going to give you a nice summary of what you've selected so you can make sure everything looks right. And again, your pricing will be completely different, but it will give you the breakdown and the total. You have an opportunity here to go back to the order to make edits. But if everything looks great, you can just click submit order and give it a minute. It's going to give you a page with a QR code at the top right. This is your auto submit. So just because it's in the system now does not mean we automatically get it. This is just now printable. So you can go to this print icon or Control P, however you choose to print it. And you'll print this document and put it in the box with your samples. If you have multiple boxes of samples, I recommend labeling with the Sharpie on the box 1 of 2, 2 of 2. We just ask that your paperwork for those boxes are in one of them at least, so that when our receiving folks are laying out your samples in order, they know that you have 2 boxes of samples and they know that your paperwork goes with those corresponding samples. So you'll print this off, and then you have our address right here. It just ships to this address. No specific person needs to be on the attention. It all comes to our receiving dock and then goes to the labs accordingly to the testing you requested. So if you're in here doing your submit samples and you have any other questions, it's broken down by industry. So, you know, nutrient management is going to be more your manure, your fertilizer, your compost, etc. So if you're struggling in the portal at all to find what you need, you can always contact myself or just anyone at Midwest Labs, and we'll help you kind of find what you need to get the right paperwork submitted. Another one that's popular is corn stalks. So I'll just show you corn stalks. It's the same thing. So you, instead of farmer, you have a description box, which is your report header as well. So that's just the name of your samples here. Description 2 and PO comment and safety data sheets are not required. This is not the crowd that will need safety data sheets. That's more on the lines of, you know, certain environmental samples, things like that. And PO number is if you have a larger company that has a project order number for accounting purposes, that's where you would put that. But again, you'd put your sample ID, and then you'll have a whole different list of tests according to that sample type. So now you notice it's all different. So I'm going to choose the late stalk nitrate package for my corn stalks. And again, I can check and see what that is and how much it costs. These are not required, but I always recommend clicking on the actual calendar and choosing the date. And if you're going to use our time, it is 24-hour time, so military time, no colon. So I know that's kind of a weird oddity there, but you will put it in that way. If you try to type in 226 no, with a colon, it's going to give you this exclamation point, and it's going to tell you what's incorrectly formatted. So we kind of try to tell you how to format things here, but obviously if you have any questions, feel free to call. You can select multiple sample groups. So if I have my corn stalks or my growth media or some of my environmental samples, I can do a whole new sample group here and go back and do maybe my water samples. So I just wanted to show you that you'll do each group according to that sample type, but you are certainly able to do multiple categories here and then just fill out accordingly. And of course, livestock water is going to have different tests available. If you need to remove group, you can just click remove group. So we've got just our corn stalk sample. We'll review order again, and then we'll click submit. So if you have an issue or you don't get time to print this off or need to print it off at a later time, anything you have submitted, you can now go under view documents, which is where your submittals are now housed. So anything you've created is in here. You can just click on order form, bring it up, and print it out. Otherwise, too, I have people who are in different locations. So they'll download this and email it to their colleague in another city, and then that colleague is packaging up the soil and would print off the submittal form to put in the box. So that's kind of a nice feature there, that it is all stored somewhere. So you're getting your soil sample ready to go, and you've got your submittal paperwork. Now you want to create a shipping label. So you'll come down here to shipping labels. This is broken down by carrier. So if in your specific zip code you do have Speedy, you will have Speedy, UPS, FedEx, and Speedy, and then it will show ground, and it will also show poundage now. So 0 to 10 pounds, 10 to 20, 20 to 40, and 40 plus. So the price will change according to the poundage that you select. If you're having any questions here, you can always contact us, or just down here on this little blue link, use the following table. We put together just a little guide here that tells you, according to our boxes, if it's that under 10 pounds, it's going to fit about 6 soil samples. And then the next one fits about 12 soil samples. So just kind of a nice gauge there. You can select up to 10 here. You're only charged for what you physically put on the box and ship to. Same with the submittal form. You can make as many submittal forms as you want, but whatever's physically in the box and sent to us is what you're getting charged for the following month. So I'm just going to click next. I am choosing my address, clicking next, selecting the bullet next to confirm, and then I'm choosing print labels. It's just like the submittal form, and you just print it off from your computer here and then put that on the box. From within the portal, you can also schedule a pickup. I believe that's only through FedEx and for some areas Speedy. So you would just walk through the prompts of the selecting the address and scheduling the pickup so they would know to come to you. And then we've also got some information there in case you need to call them directly and coordinate. Some people like to order supplies. You can contact us, via the phone or email, and we can put in an order for you. Otherwise, you can get on our order supply tab and get in here and order your soil bags. Minimum quantity is 25. That does not mean 25 pallets of 1,000. That just means 25 individual bags. So as long as that says 25 or more, you are good to go. And it's just like any shopping cart. So you'll just select your soil bags. Maybe you want a few small boxes, and it does tell you there too how many can fit in there. And then you can also order actual labels too, like the sticky labels, if you're not looking to ship out today. For those of you testing environmental and water, I will just let you know, if you're not seeing it here, you need to contact your account manager and they will set up a auto-scheduled kit for you. So they will send out your water kits for testing. So once you have everything in your cart, you'll just do the view cart and click next. It's going to again show you your price, and then you're walking through the same steps as before. You're just selecting the address where to ship to, confirming it, clicking next, and submitting order. All right, so once the soil has been received, and it's about 3 to 4 business days, we will post your results under your View Reports tab, and we will also email them to you in PDF format, or if you've requested another format, we send you that. If your test is still in progress, it's going to show here with a little orange in progress flag. But if it is ready, you can click PDF report. That's also going to be the same thing you get via email. So it's going to give you your results. And this is what the, most clients are calling in about and saying, okay, I've got my report now, which is, here's your report number in case you need to reference it. Here's your account number. Who can I speak to? And that's when we say, hey, your field rep is Jim, or Tim or whomever, and they will contact you, or you can contact them directly, and they will bring up this soil report and then go over the results with you and kind of what that means for you as far as application and going from there, or what to discuss. As you'll notice, not only does it say PDF, but it says interactive report. So I will show you that this is a live, real-time interactive report. If you need to add additional recommendations that you did not request originally on your submittal form, you can either contact your account manager and they can do that for you and reissue a report, or you can come in here and just click add recommendations, pop in your recommendations just as you would, as I showed you on the submittal page, and then click calculate. So it's going to calculate that right here on this page for you. The only thing is then you'll have to kind of screenshot it, print it, jot it down however you need to, because again, this is just on this screen, in real time. It's not saving a version of that report now with those added recommendations. So just a little extra thing you guys can use there. Okay, so the account management tab is where, let's say you've got full access, you're an account admin, so you have access to everything I've showed you, but you want to add someone in, another person in your organization. You will add them here by their email address. Click add user. Let's say I just want them to be able to view my reports. I would click save changes, and then they're going to get an email to finish registration. So they have to check that email, set up their information, and then set up their own password. So just a little overview here. Full account admin means they've got access to everything you do. Order tests is if you want someone only to submit samples and create shipping labels. View reports is obviously just looking at reports. Ordering supplies is that order supply tab. And then billing is usually for the accounting folks who want to view and pay invoices. So I'll click save changes and then let that person know. You can also come in here as an admin if there's, any changes to personnel and uncheck their permissions and click save changes. That's just going to take them off as a registered user so they can't access your account. And then you have, of course, my profile where you can change everything except your email address. And that's because we have it in our system, which is separate from my lab. So we like to know those changes. So contact us if you need to change your email address. And then in profile, you can always change your password as well. So the last thing I wanted to show you is any testing you have done during the month of November, you will be invoiced for the first week of December. So that includes any supplies, any testing you did, and then your shipping labels. So it's all broken down and itemized on your invoice. This is what that's going to look like. When you click on that View Invoices tab here, it's going to come up like this. It's going to have a date range. It's going to have your invoice, your due date, your amount, and your pay and view invoice. I just wanted to note here too to print off your invoice prior to payment, just so you have record of it. Once that payment's completed, I know that invoice button goes away, or you can always call our customer service to request invoice copies or receipts. So once you click pay, you're going to be taken to a screen. We do not auto pay you every month like some accounts do. So you will need to come in here every time you get a notification of an invoice and type in your full credit card number, security code, zip, etc., and then process order. It's coming down the road that you'll get a receipt, but for now, once you confirm that everything's been done, I would take a screenshot, as the portal does not really provide a receipt as of right now. So just kind of a little tip there. So that is the kind of the overview of the portal. I'm going to open it up to our field rep team and answer your questions and kind of go over some points they may want to go over here. And you guys can put your questions in the little chat function. Also, guys, just so you know, I have an example of an S3C report if you want me to bring that up at all, or if anyone has questions on their reports, let me know. Let us know right now, actually. Okay, so first question here for you guys. Is there a best time or maybe a better time of year to submit soil samples?
This is Jim Foshing. About 8 years ago, we looked at this kind of very same question and took soil samples starting in April from georeference points. All the representatives in the country were involved in that. So there were multiple locations across at least a dozen, if not more, states. We went back to those sites the middle of every month, took a soil sample. We ran our soil health test along with that. But as we progressed through the season, I live up here in Minnesota, so my season ends in November usually. A little farther south, I think maybe Jim was able to get into December, possibly January. We did not see, the critical values, and the critical values I think we look at are pH initially, organic matters, the phosphorus and potassium levels. We found those all to be pretty consistently within the ranges that we expected it to be. Sure, there was some variation because during the growing season we have nutrient uptake. But those variations were pretty small. So the thing we do run into sometimes, maybe not so much this year, is that we have drier falls. So we have more and more of our clients, or at least my clients, are starting to look at taking their soil samples late spring, April, May, and into June, when there's moisture in the soil profile and we get good, consistent results.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And then I know you mentioned maybe a drier year like this one. Is there any, I guess, how should we be looking at our soil reports differently during a drier year? Is there anything important that you guys want to note about the results usually?
Well, we had a really dry summer in the upper Midwest. Minnesota, Wisconsin in particular, were very dry. And there was concern about taking soil tests out of dry soils because we know it's going to affect potassium numbers a little bit. And also the pH value as well can be affected. That didn't really happen this year because it started raining in the middle of September while the crop was still out in the field. And it rained, a significant amount from mid-September to mid-October. So everybody went forward with their soil testing as they normally would. And the contacts I've had with my clients say the numbers are coming back pretty much in the range they expect them to be. But in the really dry fall seasons, we do know that potassium and pH can be affected. And in some cases, and I have told some clients in really dry years, just to hold off and take that sample in the spring or early summer when there is good soil moisture to get a realistic result based on that information from that study we did back in 2015.
Great, great. Okay, so another question here. How dry do the soil samples need to be prior to sending to the lab?
That is a good question. You don't need to dry your soil samples prior to shipping to the laboratory. When we receive the samples, they will be placed into the drying chamber for roughly 14 hours at just over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. They will then be put through a soil grinder and then on to the laboratory for analysis. So with that being said, I want to make sure that I'm totally answering your question. So if soil conditions are extremely wet and you cannot maintain a good core in the soil probe, I would recommend that you postpone sampling until you can maintain that core. I would also have a similar recommendation on the other extreme. So if soil conditions are such that you cannot get a good 6-inch core each time you pull a core due to dry conditions, then I would recommend that you wait until you receive adequate moisture. The key with soil sampling is that your sample depth is consistent each core of the soil probe. When your techniques are consistent, you are able to see trend lines moving forward each year you take soil samples.
Thank you so much. Good questions, guys. Also, could you explain maybe a bit more about base saturation level values on a soil report?
Soil base saturation percentage is related to cation exchange capacity, or CEC. So first, to explain CEC, CEC is very closely related to soil texture. It represents the ability of the negatively charged soil particles to adsorb and exchange the positively charged ions, or cations, such as potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, and hydrogen. We generally see the cation exchange capacity in a range from 1 to 40, although it certainly could be higher, with sandy soils having the lowest values and clays with the highest values. CEC measurement units are in milliequivalents per 100 grams of soil. So then moving to base saturation percentage, it is the proportion of the soil cation exchange capacity occupied or adsorbed by the basic cations. So potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, and hydrogen. The unit of measure of base saturation is percent. So ideally, we want to be within a certain range for each of these cations. So for instance, with potassium, we would like to be within 2.5 to 6%. For magnesium, we'd like to be between 10 and 18%, and calcium between 65 and 75%. Now, hydrogen is directly related to soil pH. So as acidity is created by crop production, fertilizer use, and rainfall, hydrogen percentage base saturation increases. Ideally, we want to be at 10% or less. So to explain that further, your hydrogen percentage increases, your soil pH decreases, and there will be a need to amend that soil with lime. Sodium is not a desirable nutrient, and we would like to stay below 1% if possible. Sodium can affect soil structure and inhibit the plant's ability to uptake nutrients and water.
Another question here, are the N values, I assume that's nitrogen, are the N values reported total or plant available? Is there a difference?
Go ahead, Jim.
If there are two different types of nitrogen we can report that is available nitrogen on a report if you ask us. Nitrate nitrogen is available for plant uptake, and we can also run an ammonium nitrogen that is available for plant uptake. Both of those are what we measure in that sample that you send in. That may not be the total nitrogen available to a growing crop in the soil profile, because when we're making your nitrogen recommendation, we're taking that information into account, what we're reporting on the soil test report, but we are also giving you credit for the nitrogen that's going to mineralize from your organic matter during that growing season. That's around that 10 pounds per percentage of organic matter. So that's what's measured on the report is available nitrogen that a plant can use. Nitrate as a form of nitrogen is very mobile. It can leach or it can volatilize. So use that with a word of caution. We are going to give you that recommendation or that credit based on that number. But if you have a really wet, if we're measuring that for you right now and you have a really wet spring, I would seriously consider, at about V3 or V4, if you're looking at a corn plant, to go out and take a pre-side dress nitrate test and confirm that information is still there, that nitrate level is still there. And then make adjustments accordingly.
Awesome, good advice. Okay, so we have a person here who is in a soil rebuilding mode at their farm due to some issues that they've had and heavy clay soil issues. And they're saying our SOM tested very high in all of our samples. What is the downside of too much SOM? And can you also explain what that is too?
SOM is soil organic matter. The question was, can soil organic matter be too high? My initial response would be no. When we think about soil organic matter, in most areas of crop production on mineral soils, we look to improve organic matter. A healthy soil has adequate proportion of organic matter in it, and the addition of more organic matter will improve the quality of that soil. Soil texture makes a difference. For instance, a sandy soil, 2 to 2.5% would be considered high, whereas a heavier clay soil, 4.5 to 5% would be considered high. To build organic matter, we look at practices like minimum and no-till farm applications, which are going to promote increased plant material. We look at planting cover crops, applying manure and compost and other organic materials.
Now, there is a subtraction piece that we need to discuss. So, crop production is going to take away nutrients from the soil. Heavy tillage and soil erosion are going to remove organic matter. So our goal is going to be to remove less than the additions we make so that we can improve the soil quality and health. So there are some benefits, obviously, of increased soil organic matter. Those would be water infiltration, soil aeration, water holding capacity, increased CEC, which is going to improve the buffering capacity of a soil, which is to say the soil's ability to resist change. Going to be able to increase biological activity and also improve the carbon level in the soil. Now, there certainly are mineral soils that are above 10% and even 20% organic matter. They're going to require different management strategies. There will be a need to closely monitor organic matter mineralization and manage additional fertilizer applications. There are organic soils such as peat and muck soils that are 80+% organic matter. There are also soilless media that are 100% organic matter. Again, all these growth media require different management. I would just close by saying if there are concerns with high organic matter levels in your soil and how it corresponds with additional fertilizer applications, please give one of your Midwest Lab representatives a call and we can certainly discuss that with you.
All right, thank you so much. In the fall, we have some broken down leaves and residual roots in the samples. How meticulous do we need to be removing all of the, roots and leaves, etc., before sending?
Regarding the plant material, you really only need to remove the plant material that is on the surface of the soil. Beyond the surface of the soil to the depth of 6 inches, there won't be a need to remove any of that plant material. Now, I would recommend that you sample on non-tilled soil if possible. Now, the exception would be if the tilled soil has had adequate moisture and time for plant material to decompose and for the soil to firm up before you take the sample. An example of that would be fall tilled soil that is sampled in the spring. So just like there is a need to have a good firm seed bed at planting time, you also want a firm soil to take soil cores to represent your soil sample.
Those are great questions today, guys. Jim, Stephanie, Ashley, if you guys have anything else that you guys kind of want to make sure folks know this year or any trends, feel free to bring those up now. And I will keep an eye out for questions. But also, folks, on this last slide, I will leave this up until we have all exited the webinar. This is the team distro. So if you're confused as to your person, it's fieldreps@midwestlabs.com. Always call our main line, 402-334-7770. We can look up your account number, we can see the report that you're asking about, and we can find out who your field rep is. So we will get you in touch with the right person. But here is everyone's contact information and phone number, as well as myself. So if you have questions specific to what these guys have talked about today, so any of these questions about your reports, your levels, your amendments, the changes you need to be making, when you should test again, what you should be testing exactly, that's more your field rep. Myself here is anything portal related. So once you're ready to go and you know what you want and you need help signing up for the portal or getting everything sent in correctly, please reach out to me at any time. I'm happy to do one-on-one trainings with you guys. And then of course, every last Wednesday of the month, I do just portal training. So we will be looking to doing more industry-based webinars this next year. So look for that in 2024. And then another ag series probably in spring, because as you've noticed today, we've mentioned that, testing again in spring is pretty vital. We have one more question here, guys. Is it possible for strip till residual fertility to skew the samples? How do we account for this?
We actually have a memo or document somewhere that explains how to properly sample in a strip till situation. Yes, it could influence the results if every time you pull a core out of that field, you happen to hit that band, that strip band. The suggestion is to move off site or off target about 8 or 9 inches for every core, or 10 inches, so that it's representing maybe 1 out of every 3 or 4 core samples that you send into us in that sample. Combine those all together, and then we could have a realistic idea of what you need for fertility applications. It can be really hard to find those bands, even though you kind of know where they are. I spent a day one summer day trying to find a strip till band, and even with the old row right there, I'm not sure we actually hit it. So just varying the way you pull your cores across the field, you can avoid the possibility that the strip itself is overly influencing the results on your soil test report.
And if you'd like some follow-up information on that, please feel free to reach out outside of the webinar to our group chat or our group email, and we can look for that document for you. Or if you need, supplemental information, please do reach out to us as well. Really good questions today, guys. I appreciate everybody taking the time to meet today. I hope everybody had a great soil season. So now we're kind of in that end of soil season. So again, that's what we're here for. That's what our field reps are here for. So feel free to reach out to us. Again, we'll be sending this webinar recording to you guys. So feel free to share that out with your colleagues. And then we'll just keep in touch with you and for future webinars. But thank you guys, and thanks to our awesome field rep team. They do a lot of great work on the road and help everybody with a successful season. So thank you guys very much.